You've chosen an unusual name for your company. Would you give us some background why PigPug has something to do with AI telemedicine brain training platform for kids with ADHD and ASD?
Yes, it's going to be on the third slide. Thank you for this draw. Like again, yeah, we work on AI, drug-free telemedicine, brain training platform for kids with attention deficit and for autistic kids. And the first question, why ADHD and autism and ASD? Just briefly, autism spectrum disorder, it's a developmental disorder that can affect language skills, behavior, socializing. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, it's a disorder that can impact how well you concentrate, how well you learn, how you stay still, etc., etc. But ADHD is the most common coexisting conditions in children with ISD. And just want to say that more than 50% of individuals who have ISD have some signs of ADHD. And on the flip side, 25% plus kids who have ADHD has some ISD signs. This kind of comes together. This is my personal story. I knew that I have been autistic since 6, but I didn't know that I have attention deficit since the same age. And I realized it around 4 years ago. And around 4 years ago, the story of PigPug has begun. And last thing that ISD is more than 4 times as prevalent among boys as among girls. That's important. A little bit about statistic. Around 10% in United States, kids are diagnosed with attention deficit. And 1 in every 4 years children were estimated to have ISD, autism spectrum disorder, in 2018. And the autism prevalence has increased around 178% since 2000. And there are some projections that half of the kids will be, by 2025, half of the kids will be autistic. There are a lot of significant challenges with concentration and impulse control. This is about ADHD, and a lot of problems with education and socialization in case of ISD.
I'm very intrigued to know if you are aware of any catalyst that has such a dramatic increase in autism, or if we're merely more sophisticated in diagnosing it now.
Yes, it's both sides. We are diagnosing much better right now, but the number of kids with ISD and attention deficit are dramatically increased.
Well, I want to ask a question though, because my nephew was diagnosed with ADHD, ASD, how you want to call it, which was true for him. But he was in a classroom with 30 kids, and 16 of them were boys, and I think it was 14 of them were all diagnosed with ASD and had to be put on medicine. Is that normal? I mean, that's in one class in one town. That just seems like an overdiagnosis on the boys, because there was no girls with the problem.
Yeah, I just said it's unfortunately it's normal. It's normal right now. Unfortunately, what is the catalyst for that? I want to say that there is a theory that vaccines could cause the ISD. I just want to say this is not true. There is no scientific base that any vaccine could cause the ISD or ADHD.
Yeah, it's not vaccine, it's something else going on. And I don't know if it isn't just parents sometimes that aren't disciplining their kids and teaching them to behave. Yeah,
this is about my opinion. I'm not a medical doctor, it's my personal thing. And I've been reading a lot of scientific sources. My personal opinion is why we have so many kids with ISD and ADHD because of a lot because of information, because of
Too
a lot
much
of
information,
yes,
just blowing their minds. Yeah.
exactly.
Vitali, what I'd like to do, because this is not so much a pitch to us as a collective of the whole group coming together and learning about and talking about, and have you considered this and that, as a marketer, what I'm thinking for you is we're on slide 4, and we were able to derail you twice before we really got to the point. I said something about pig pug, why that? And you said, okay, that's on slide 3. And then Jan had some story, no offense, Jan, about some kid in some class somewhere. But the point is, I'm making it sound that arbitrary. We've taken you way off. And when you do make a pitch, or when you are in front of people, my advice for you is that you start with a sentence that really makes people like, wow, okay. And then if you want to get into the size or why or growth and such to support it, fine. But to start there, it gives us too many like, oh, I know someone with ADHD. Oh, I've been prescribed with ADHD. Oh, I know a kid on Adderall. There's just too many people who know something to derail you. Does the group agree? Some nods. I'm going to ask just to say hello. I've asked him to unmute, if he would, just to greet us.
Hello, very nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Hello,
Where
everybody.
are you calling in from?
I'm Andrew. I'm co-founder of the PigPack Helps, and now I'm from Eastern Europe, and now I'm in Belarus, in Brest.
Okay.
And I want to say for us, train your brain every day, stay healthy, and be happy. Maybe all now.
Thank you. And what time is it where you are right now? What time is it?
Time 8 p.m.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us on a Friday.
Thank you.
Yeah, Joe, just a couple facts and I'll start to our solution.
Sure.
Yeah, because like I just want to pitch, and after, not to pitch, but to tell the story, and after you could ask any questions. Just this is how it works in my mind.
I'll be good. I'm even going to put myself on mute.
Yeah, why big pug? And this is quite known fact that kids with attention deficit love to play with the puppets, with the toys, with the puppets, with some toys or animal toys. And I knew it, and I have had this puppet. And when we decided to create this solution, like the name, we decided that the name should be something with some animals, with toys, and we have been thinking around months, and we created this name, Big Pug. And you could see on the right bottom angle, it's our very, very first logo. This is like a dog, like a pug with some, with virtual reality glasses. It's also interesting story for autistic kids. And we have a lot of questions about why PigPack. And months ago, Yale University just made some clinical trials. There is a video here, and this is the screenshot from Yale University. And they just confirm this theory that puppets can allow kids to feel like they're in safe space, and they may be able to share some, just because kids with ISD just have some difficulty attending human faces and social interaction. In other words, they don't like to look at the eyes. But the different situation in case of puppets, they can interact with puppets, they can talk with puppets, and this is like good sign in treatment. This is why PigPack. Okay, our mission is to help kids with attention deficit and with autism to live a better life without medication. Without medication. Right now, there are 3 main strategies to treat ADHD first and ISD second. It's a medication. It's a Ritalin, Adderall, like a lot of brands, etc. Like we don't want to talk about them. There is a psychological and behavioral interventions. And there is a solution based on neurofeedback. It's a feedback from the brain. In other words, it's electroencephalography. we have to say that there are a lot of information in EEG. A lot of, it's not just some graphs. We could extract a lot of information from EEG and provide this feedback to the kid. Our solution consists of 4 parts. It's an online telemedicine platform for neurofeedback practitioners and for parents. It's a specially designed, comfortable EEG headset for kids. We're developing neurofeedback, brain training, mental games. And on top of it, we have AI. Before doing something, we have recorded around 100 interviews with the parents. And like in 95% of cases, the feedback was like, we needed some tutor supervision. It's not just the headset, just buy the headset, put the tablet, and just start working. No, at least at the beginning, we needed tutor supervision. And there are a lot of neurofeedback practitioners in the United States. They all use some different hardware, like sometimes it's a clunky hardware with a lot of wires, etc. And we have developed and we have decided that in 2019 that the neurofeedback should be affordable for any United States family. It should be remote. It was before COVID era. It should be affordable, remote, and easy to use. What does it mean, neurofeedback? Do I have to explain? Look, no?
I would say do as you typically do when you're making a presentation.
Okay, because it depends. There are some like medical doctors who understand. There are some just people who don't.
I'll ask Sue. Sue, did you want to take yourself off mute and comment?
Sure. I spent 17 years as a retail pharmacist and opened my own store in a small little rural town of Poolesville, Maryland, which is located in the country in Upper Montgomery County, Maryland. And I would say half the children were on ADD and ADHD meds. I had to keep at least 2,000 or 3,000 bottles of Ritalin in stock, of Adderall in stock, and not to mention all the other drugs. And the teachers would actually recommend, especially the boys, like Jan was saying, recommend that the kids be, on medication just because it makes their life easier. All of them didn't need to be. Some of them certainly, I think, did, but I think so many of them were misdiagnosed. And if they had other platforms like this, maybe all of them wouldn't be on drugs today.
Thank you.
Like, you must be on drugs. I know. Go ahead, Vitali. I do have a comment, but I'm steeling myself to wait until the end because I'm.
Yes, thank you so much for that. What does it mean, neurofeedback? Like very, very briefly and common speaking, we teach kids how to meditate, how to control their minds, how to control their behavior. And we provide the feedback from the brain. And it's kind of much, much easier for them just to, okay, I got it. We provide, like very, very briefly and just simple speaking, we provide the 2 states, concentration and relaxation. If he or she wants to concentrate, we provide this state, and he or she wants to relax, to be in relaxed state, we also provide the state. And using this information, kids are trying to adapt to control their brains, and like in very, very early stage, they are meditating. And this is how we teach them how to control their behaviors, the brain state, etc., etc. And I would say that maybe this is a revolutionary thing, but our mission and our idea is that it's too early for 6 years old boy to take a medication. Not on every case, but on majority of cases. The neuroplasticity of their brains are very, very high. And we have to teach at school and any school of meditation techniques, of self-awareness techniques, of mindfulness techniques. It should be mandatory lesson, at least 15 minutes prior first lesson. It should be mandatory. It's so easy and it's has so much impact on the future. If we know how to control, how to breathe the right way, how to control our brain. This is our goal, and this is what we want to provide for society. Okay, going back to our solution. 4-in-1 solution, it's a telemedicine. In other words, just buy the headset, put on your head, connect to the platform, choose the right neurofeedback practitioner, and starts working. This is about our headset. It's like 3 years of development. We have tried different form factors and came to the conclusion that simplicity is the key. You could see it's kind of over-ear headset with movable bands. He or she could listen music, no problem, but just when you want to, in case you move bands to your frontal lobe, you could meditate, you could control some things using your brain. This is how does it look like from tutor's view and child's view. Child's view, it's a game, it's a mission to Mars, game called Mission to Mars, but it could be different games. And I want to say that for attention deficit kids, guys and girls, there are separate games. For autistic kids, also going to be some separate games. Okay, proof of concept. First of all, I want to say we don't have to prove it because neurofeedback as a treatment is well known from 90s, like huge scientific base under the hood, a lot of articles on PubMed and other respectful sources. But we have tried, around 40 kids have tried our solution on working prototypes. We made agreement with the parents, and they agreed to try our solution. And sometimes we see some significant results after 5-6 sessions. In case of attention deficit, we could see some results, we could say objective results. We use a Toulouse Piron test, but it doesn't matter. There are some TOVA tests. The idea of this test, there are some exercises, and there is a speed and accuracy. And we have some success in case of accuracy with the same speed after 10 sessions course. And that's very, very important. In case of autistic kids, it's hard to measure something, but we also have some successful studies, successful cases when autistic kids, in other words, became more socialized. It's hard to measure autistic kids' success, but again, we have some great results. Okay, competitive landscape is very, very wide. We have to say it's the toughest competitor is pharma. And more than 95% of autistic kids will be prescribed Ritalin, Adderall, etc., etc. And it's very, very sad. And we have a lot of requests from 18, 19, 20 years old students, undergrads, that they took they have been taking whole their life, the Ritalin, Adderall, and there is no physical addiction. It's a psychological addiction, and they cannot do something without Ritalin or Adderall, and it's very, very sad. We also have some direct competitors. We provide, like, our key feature is that we have a specially designed for kids with attention deficit headset. We have AI. We have a telemedicine platform. We want to make our solution as affordable as possible. This is my actual attention deficit. We have a collaborative business model. Growth will be built on low-cost device and recurring revenue, and we will split the revenue with neurofeedback practitioners. In 2 subscription plans, advanced and custom, neurofeedback practitioners will take place. And yeah, the headset will probably cost like around $299. This is our roadmap. Right now we are raising 1.2 million for We want to expand our development team. We want to manufacture the first 100 devices and make some clinical trials with neurofeedback practitioners. We want to complete development our platform. We want to create more games. We have filled, by the way, provisional profile application for our device, and we want to apply on FDA. And by the way, thank you for Michelle from 2 weeks ago. Right now we have some more options on case of 15K on FDA. Yeah, thank you for all participants to this session.
Hi, did you want to say anything representing Michelle today?
Yeah, well, thank you for acknowledging. Glad that we were able to help. Yeah, I'm representing Lean RAQA today.
And were you intimate with that discussion? Do you know what her recommendations were?
I wasn't, unfortunately.
If you, maybe you don't remember, like during some regular search, we have found like three possible
Product codes.
Yeah, during Michelle company search, we found around 12, and we have more options right now on the table.
I see. When you said Michelle, I assumed Lot, but you may have meant Michelle Wu from Nyquist.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Forgive me, Ty. David, I asked you to unmute because I recall you were talking with Vitali as well, and you were helping him use the Nyquist database.
Yeah.
If you'd like to comment on there.
No, we had a session together, and I was just trying to look up the folder that I put all the files in, and then we met. I think we met a couple days later or something like this on teleconference to look at a more complete aspect of what's out there, what the competitive landscape would be using that software program.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, David.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Vitali, I'd like to know, have you been out in front of VCs making pitches?
What do you mean by that? Could you please?
I mean, you shared this presentation with us. Who else has seen it?
We have shared with some VCs, like a seed and pre-seed. We have received a couple of feedbacks, like, you know what, it's too early for us, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, this presentation, this is especially for this group. I just want to talk more,
I'm grateful for that. I wonder, these times that you interacted with VCs, was it over email or were you in person? Did you have a Zoom call where you presented?
Yeah, I will have some Zoom call on this week, on the last week.
Where's the typical feedback you get? Now, you've said they're not ready to commit capital, but do they give you other feedback?
Like a 95, I like this number. 95% of the feedback is like, you know what, it's too early. You have so few traction, only 40 kids just tried, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know why we are too early even for pre-seed. Maybe today's feedback will help us to understand why. Maybe this is my personality. I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. I have some thoughts, but instead of monopolizing, does anyone want to come off mute? Just?
I have some thoughts too. You know, I've spent a lot of time in startups. I've done, been a part of pitches and, done due diligence. I think you have a great product. It sounds really beneficial, but you do have some significant regulatory challenges. And I think understanding what that could be would give some strength to your pitch, because you need to know, I've been listening and I wasn't really sure what market you're targeting until this very slide. And we haven't seen all the slides.
Yeah,
but I
it's
didn't
the
know.
next slide.
I was like, this is probably coming.
Yeah.
But that's just information that I'm missing right now is, I did see the pricing of the headset, which is good. And it seems like you are aware that people will probably pay out of pocket instead of being reimbursed for this. You mentioned your 40 kids, but I wasn't sure if that was actually in a clinical trial or not, which I would hope that it was in an actual clinical trial. These are just little things that I'm like picking up as we've gone. I don't know if anyone else has feedback.
Mine is, Lauren, I'd like to get
one thing.
or Eddie, go ahead.
Joe, so Vitali, one thing I would say is the audience that you're pitching to, if they're VCs, you really need to treat them as if they are exactly people who should be using your product.
Yes, that's a good
Okay?
point.
They're very bright, but their attention span is teeny. Okay, this is a patient group, and like I say, more seriously, you know, they're going to want to get right to it. Joe was pointing on it a little bit, but I think that if you can lead, you know, even lead with the image, that'll draw them in.
Mhm.
It'll explain the name of it. It'll draw you into that. You know, don't hold it back. And then, you know, really focus them first and foremost on how much is being spent on this. Those are the things that they want to know. Then get the fact that you have data. Is the data published anywhere? I don't know if you can hear anything I'm saying.
We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you, but if you
Okay.
turn off the cam, it's going to be better.
I'm sorry, what?
Okay.
Oh, if you could repeat it. He
Is
was
it
just saying about, if I'm not mistaken, he mentioned how VCs have very short attention spans, get to the point immediately, and he asked if you have any data that is published. Vitali.
Ed, yes, that was a question, yes?
Yes, that was Ed's question. Do you have any published
Okay.
data?
Like again, it's kind of, if we're talking about this 40 kids data, it's kind of private personal data. We have some Excel sheet with some numbers, but we don't public. This is kind of name and first name, last name, blah blah blah. It's a if you take a look our Instagram, there are like constant posts with some kids. Even we awarded some kids with a great results since 2019. There are a lot of posts with kids, how we work with kids, how we work with autistic kids. It's kind of, it's not like a official report or something. It's a data, how we work with kids, etc., etc.
Lauren, you wanted to say something.
okay?
Yeah, I just had a couple comments. They reflect what has been said previously. I mean, it looks like you're attacking a really good problem and solution, but looking for a fundable solution, which is, I mean, I work with angel groups and I do screening. You're looking not only for a good product, but you're looking for a good and a well-run company. There's also kind of a particular order or cadence that the funding requests usually go through. You know, quick look through the problem, identifying the scope of it, and you can do this within a few slides. So I think it's a great idea, but the way the presentation comes across is it sounds more like a research project than a fundable company. I think you may have that information. I'm happy to work with you if you want on putting together, you know, something of what I normally would see as a pitch. I'm actually working this morning on a spreadsheet for my angel group in terms of here's the top criteria that we want to see printed. So it's
Maybe similar, Maren, to what I just shared in the chat. This is from our mutual friend, Mark Krause, who gave me.
Oh, lovely to hear from Mark.
What the Karetsu used to look at. So Vitali, in the chat, I have a link there to medicaldevicesgroup.net/medical-devices/raising-capital. And it is an article to which I refer anyone who's ever asked me, do you know where I can get some money? It's like, answer these questions first. Eddie, you had your hand raised.
Yes. First of all, I'm sorry that I have to leave a bit earlier today, but I do have some personal experience that I can add to the ADD problem. Growing up, you know, this was decades before the diagnosis ever came about. I had no idea I had ADD. All I knew is when I was in college, I would go to the library in the morning, and by evening, when they start to flicker the lights and tell people to leave, I look down and I've read 3 pages, but in the meantime, I've gone on an African safari. I've gone to visit friends. I had a ton of fun and absolutely nothing to do with the book that's in front of me. But just by sheer determination, I trained myself to focus on what's happening in class. And with what I had at that time, a photographic memory, I was still able to excel. Then, and of course, I grew up, I was born before plastics came about. And as we are increasingly aware, forever chemicals like BPA have had very potent neural hormonal influences. So when I was in medical school, I learned that menarche, the age at which girls menstruate, was about 12 to 14, but today it's 8. We have plunging male fertility rate because of these forever chemicals. And my son was born with a very high IQ, but he couldn't concentrate in class at all. And he was constantly being punished by his teachers for not paying attention. Now, he was not being disruptive to anybody. He was, tearing up pieces of paper and playing with his own homemade paper puzzles. And when the teacher asked him some question, he could answer them. And this would really make him mad because he's setting a very bad example, doing his own thing, but he was still, and so he came home really, really depressed.
If I may, Eddie?
Yeah.
Forgive me. What's happening here is what I think could be insightful and something that you can use as a tool. Namely, Ed, for the last 2 minutes, and I could hear you talk all day. In fact, I have devoted a few days to listening to you. Everyone has a story. And I'm afraid that if this were part of a pitch and somebody started going off about, and then I was born and my son and this and that, it just takes so far afield from where you need to go. What I would say is, if you can say, have you ever had something that we can all pretty much relate to? You know how you easily get distracted?
Okay.
This will,
absolutely. I will.
That will be some way that the VCs can say, okay.
I'm going to finish in 1 minute. Okay, so the point that I think Sue raised earlier about the Ritalin being over prescribed is that in my own experience, we reluctantly started my son on it, and the teacher said, "Well, what did you do? This is it's incredible how he changed." We then withdrew the drug, and the teacher said, "What happened? He was so good before, and now he's he's back to his old self," showing that the drug did have a definite effect, and when he grew up, he was able to wean it off. But the presence of the forever chemicals and the strong evidence that the rise in ADD and ASD has some correlation to the increasing environmental chemicals. So Vitali, if you could point to that, it would help VCs understand that this is a very serious and growing problem that is not going to go away soon. And then, of course, armed with the data that you have that it helps, hopefully you will have better results.
I did a little search while Vitali was speaking, and
thank you.
That the 28th most prescribed drug, according to Wikipedia, is Vyvanse for attention deficit disorder. The 38th is Ritalin, and the 66th is dextroamphetamine, which is Adderall. I'm frankly surprised it's down that low. If I were to come to the group and say, I have a better solution than Amazon for shipping, or I have a better way to search the web than Google or any of the comparable searches, or, I would tell you that, better shoes than Nike, better soft drinks than Coke, whatever. The sheer amount of money that pharma could throw to squash my progress is staggering. We talk about how come we can't lower Medicare, all the costs, healthcare reform and all this other shit because of lobbyists. No, thank you. Not at the moment. I do want my room made up, but this is not the right time. Anyhow, if we can't get anything passed because of lobbyists, because of the kind of, Alyssa, why don't you talk next? I'm going to put myself on mute in the address room service. Thank you.
Thank you. Vitali, I think you guys have a great product. And Andre, I think you have a great opportunity here. A few suggestions. Number one is you're going to need somebody to parallel with you in front of VCs that has high energy. And the reason why I say that is this is your branding strategy. And this is coming from somebody that's dealt with this issue my whole life. You can develop this into a superpower. And if you're marketing to kids and you're marketing to parents of kids, a gray headset is never going to be something that's desirable for a kid to put on their head. It's going to be scary. So have it animal shapes, characters, bright colors. And and I think many of us on this channel can attest to some of the greatest minds in history has had some form of ADD or ADHD. And they've all trained it to be their superpower. And and that would be my tagline, is because that's all what we're doing in life is we're all retraining ourselves to develop ourselves to be the highest potential that we were put on this earth to be. So you have two markets here. You have an adult market and you have a kids market. I don't know, what are your thoughts on that? And having somebody with you when you're presenting?
Yeah, Lisa, thank you for that. I just quick share. This is our different deck, and this is what exactly what you said. Attention is a superpower, become a superhero. This is for parents. This is for parents, and yeah, this is one of the strategy. About the guy who has a better or stronger energy. I know VCs like persons with firing eyes. Sometimes these eyes have some unnatural nature. We could say some chemical nature, these firing eyes. But I know VCs like this kind of person.
Your first slide should be a bunch of people in history that have demonstrated to have ADHD or ADD tendencies. So people can directly correlate how powerful the mind can be. Second is going to be the incredible amount of data behind EEG technology. I used to sell capital that was symbiotic with EEG technology. It is the gold standard, and hospitals are using it in or they're trying to get funding for every ICU to have it. It tells people if they're brain dead, it tells people which area of the brain is working. And then there was one comment on here that said, how many sensors do you have in your headset? And that's a really good point to address. So first PowerPoint is the superpower and the people that have it in history. Second PowerPoint or second page is going to be the data and the behind EEG in general and neurofeedback.
Okay, thank you. I'll definitely think about this. Thank you so much.
I'm going to also suggest something that Maren mentioned. It's indelicate. I'm uncomfortable saying it, but I think it's important. Maren, you said that a lot of what goes into an angel investor's decision to invest is believing in management. And
yeah, the leadership team is
right.
Probably both for me and for a lot of the other angels. They don't care as much about the product. If they trust the management team and it will pivot correctly, then that's the appropriate thing.
So at the moment, very affectionately, I offer, you have given us no reason to believe in you and Andre as being able to raise probably tens of millions, get this through industry, fight pharma. There's EEG, yes, but you're not first to market. Why should we go with you versus some other things? It just seems riddled with risk to me. I don't have a solution how to encapsulate all of those risks that you can quickly address.
Yeah, just a couple comments. This is like
That was a huge thing. I just gave you a here.
Yes, yeah. I took it. Couple comments. This is what I cannot put this in my head.
And that, frankly, again, that's a problem. I know this isn't your first language, and you've told us that you're on the spectrum, so maybe just fluid and just going is harder.
Exactly. Yes.
That's not going to comfort someone who's about to write $1 million check, though.
There are different type of investors. There are like a crypto, Web3, fintech, and that's okay for my understanding. This People just, they care about the money. Just, they don't care about the product, they care about the money. But according to my opinion, investors who invest in medical devices, who invest in impact, social impact, they have to care about the product. This is not story only about the money.
I hear
not the story. It's story about the money, but not only about the money.
You're saying that there's a philanthropic aspect to this as well.
Yes, and when I hear like, you know what, like we don't really care about your product. Okay, how do you earn the money? And that's it. This is blows my mind. Like what we are doing.
And,
here. If you
let
don't
me
care
put
about the
my
product,
let me put my comments in context. There is a lot of care. There's a lot of interest in investing in healthcare. But if you are looking for groups that are, VCs, angels, those types of groups are looking for some type of return, some type of reassurance that they're going to get return on their money. If you are actually looking for philanthropic dollars or looking for funding from sources where people don't care about that money, then you shouldn't be going to VCs.
I think that's very insightful. Treya is writing here in the comments, she agrees.
again, I'm not looking like a philanthropic or non-profit things. There are a lot of money in this area, a lot of, and we already developed a business model. But if investors only care about the business model and not about our product, what we do, how we do, it's something. It's insightful for me in a bad way. Last week, I have a feedback from the investor, and he has a son with autism, and he said, "You know what? Your deck is too technical, too product." He's probably right. It's because we wanted, too technical. I would not invest in your product because you don't have some like a financials. He has a son with autism. We could probably help him with his son, but he could not. He will not invest because we don't have some financials at pre-seed. Just let's be honest. Financial projections at pre-seed stage. It's quite, it's highly likely will not be
realized.
It's a pre-seed. It's too early stage.
So if I may, Vitali, when it comes to what you're looking to do with the business, you say you have a business model.
Yes.
Again, VCs are what they are. We can all have a different, a separate hours-long conversation about that. But you are looking to raise a certain amount of money in order to do what again? You want to help people. Is that sort of your main motivation?
Yes, help kids.
Yeah. Okay. The thing is that, again, depending upon the quantum of money that you want, there's got to be some give and take and understanding, what that money is going to do. So again, I think that it was Marin who's, I think, really encapsulated that really well. That all having been said, try your hardest to draw away from the individual case studies. They're nice, but if you're trying to solve individual case studies, that isn't how you can scale your goal and objective, right? I asked earlier about whether you've got any publications. Another way around that is there a school that you're working with where you can, build a body of data that's anonymous? Is there anything like that going on with your business right now?
Yeah, like as I said, we have school. We have had a school. It was in Eastern Europe when we have partnered with them, and 40 kids were from the school, and it's official information. And there is anonymous data. It's like a spreadsheet with some numbers according our professional psychologist measured some, like we called it, sustained attention before 10 sessions and after, and we, like per request, send this data.
You say it's in Eastern Europe. Is it hopefully it's not, is it in Ukraine by any chance, or is it
no
challenging?
No, we have some team members in Ukraine, but it was in Belarus.
In Belarus, okay. how difficult would it be, and how much capital would it take to reproduce that data at a school in the US?
Yeah, first of all, we have to manufacture, we have to get the CE mark, just to manufacture first 100 devices. And then it's not going to be difficult just to do something. And we have a plan to do like 100 devices clinical study, like not a clinical, like a school study in United States.
I'm sorry to interrupt here. I have a question. Are you intending to get a CE mark first on your product and then go to the US?
No. I mean, like we have to provide the safe product to.
Oh, you mean the electrical part for the
electrical part? Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, UL is the US one more than the CE. So look and see if there's some differences.
Freya?
Vitali, I came late, but I just want to, my journey in fundraising and as a founder, I want to, I know that you have a passion for your product. I can hear that clearly. But I would like you to invite you to put yourself also in the mindset of an investor. You asking them to give you their money that normally would belong to their families, to their kids. So there's a lot of emotions attached to their money. It's not like, oh, I need money and that you have it, give it to me. So please get yourself into the mindset of you asking a lot of a stranger and valid and be respectful of that thought. So approach it in a most humble way. What can you give them? How can you make them secure that they are actually getting a benefit out of supporting you? It's a two-way street. It's not a one-way street. So if you get to that point where you can have that mindset, what is it that I'm bringing to the table for him and how to make him secure in that investment, I think then that's the key to have a successful conversation with an investor.
I think what's interesting and what we can conclude from Treya, thank you, her comments and some of mine, some from Marin and others, is you're entering into a conversation with someone else. Your marketing could be anything, and getting to understand their needs and how you would satisfy them and how you work together. And it varies a great deal. Marin said, well, if it's philanthropic, don't go to the VC. If it's the VC, you need that. Eddie was like, but they need this, all of these things. So I think we can safely conclude that yours is not like, oh, this is how you slice bread. Wow. You know, it's something that could be done other ways. There are alternatives, there are substitutes. This one is not ready and proven. There, you have to have a faith and a love and it's not just a typical, hey, anyone can see this is going to be the next Amazon. And so I think, yeah, there needs to be great care with each audience and how you approach them. I think that's fair to say. So perhaps with this being your hour, and as we close, what from the group do you think would be most helpful in closing or from follow-up where we can help you get where you want to be?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. First of all, thank you, group, for this feedback. And it was some kind way to tell me that I'll try to adjust my mind. It's quite different. We all have some personal issues.
Of course.
I'll try to adjust my mind to rethink to
Your customer, whomever that is on the other side of your conversation.
Yeah, just to provide maybe more financial information, more information investor needs, and hopefully it's going to be better. Thank you.
Is there anything that you need from us or just be on standby when you call?
Please send me some feedback. If maybe on email, I'll take a look. Or if you have some ability, just invest in us.
Okay.
You know, I think there's value in practicing again on your presentation. Maybe not the whole thing, but maybe the first 5 to 10 minutes of getting started, and maybe having a small group meeting with you.
Continuous improvement. Yeah, I think that could be helpful. Thank you, everybody. Next week, Dr. Lin, he's already left for the day. He'll be talking to us in a similar way, getting his concepts off the ground. He's going to talk to us about a super oxygenating mask system. And Michael, why don't you give us a preview of what you'll discuss on the 22nd?
Yeah, we'll be talking about medical device companies, the dashboards that they use that go along with their devices. So some of those, capital pieces that you were talking about earlier. What kind of information comes off of these devices? What's the right information? What's the wrong information? And how do you engage your customers most to get that information out there?
That'll be on the 22nd. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Vitali, special thanks for sharing your concept with us, and we'll see you next week. Have a good weekend, everyone.